Hey, welcome back to Yahaira's's Cozy Chapters. My name is Yahaira and we have a lot to talk about. This is our mid-year wrap-up and we're going to talk about all the books that I've read so far this year, and I'm pleasantly surprised that I've read, 26 books so far this year, which to a lot of you that may not seem like a lot, but to someone that has 4 kids, it's constantly on the go and has their own business and is constantly doing things left and right. That's a big accomplishment for me. Usually my yearly goal of books is around 50, and if I can do 4 or 5 books a month, I'm happy. So I'm a happy camper right now that I've read 26 books so far this year. I'm gonna pat myself on the back because that's quite an accomplishment. And let's remember, reading is not a competition. You know, some people read 20 books in a week, 10 books in a week, 120 books in a year, and whatever it is that you're reading, congratulations, that's amazing. Just reading any amount of books is an accomplishment. So let's jump right in. So for the month of January, we kind of hit the ground running and we picked up The Love Hypothesis, which I let my friend borrow, so I don't have the physical copy. But The Love Hypothesis, I went into it kind of hesitant because I had read another of Allie's books, and it just, I don't know, it didn't really hit for me. I believe it was Check and Mate, and it just, I don't know, it didn't really love that one. So when I picked up The Love Hypothesis, I was kind of going, okay, maybe this one will be one that I absolutely love. And I did enjoy The Love Hypothesis. I give it 3.5 stars. So for me, a 3-star review is a book that I did like, but I didn't love, and I would recommend it to others. So it was 3.5 stars for me to start off the year with The Love Hypothesis. One Golden Summer was excellent. It was so refreshing. There were parts of the books of One Golden Summer that I liked, and there were some parts of One Golden Summer that I didn't like, which it was so funny for me to pick this book up in January when it's cold and windy and dreary outside, knowing that it's more of a summer or a spring read, but I just kind of wanted to get away from all the dreariness. So I read One Golden Summer. It's the story of Charlie and Alice, and when I first read it, I did enjoy the setting and I loved all the summer vibes. But the romance build up between Charlie and Alice just kind of wasn't my favorite, but I still gave it 3 stars because I know that it's an overall good story and I would definitely recommend it to other people. So that was my second read. My third read in January was Love Lit Farms by B.K. Borison, and I absolutely love some of B.K. Borison's other books. So when I read this one, it really disappointed me because I was hyping it up so much in my brain. I thought it was just going to be this awesome book, but it turns out, and I read that one on my Kindle, so I'll throw that up here. When I read Love Lit Farms, I was so disappointed because I just wasn't believing the storyline so much, you know, the influencer aspect of it, and you know, you keep getting told about the friendship that the 2 main characters have, and I don't know, I just wasn't in it. I wasn't invested in the relationship and their friendship, but I did enjoy the Christmas elements and the elements of the farm and all the pastries, and that aspect of it I did like. So that was a 2-star read for me. And the last book that I read in January is A Wish for Us, which I do have the physical copy. A Wish for Us by Tilly Cole. If you've read any of Tilly Cole's other books, you know that she's an excellent writer and she just captures human emotions so well. Some of the other books that I've read by Tilly Cole are 1,000 Boy Kisses and 1,000 Broken Pieces, and they both gutted me. So I went into this one knowing that it was going to be really emotional, and it seems to become a tradition that every Valentine's I pick a book up by Tilly Cole, and so far I'm loving that tradition. For me, this book was a 4.5-star read. It was just fantastic. It was a page turner for me. I could not put it down, and I was so invested in Cromwell, and I was so invested in Bonnie, and just the attachment that they had, and getting a peek into the world of orchestra and being a composer, but also in the world of being a DJ. So if you like musical elements and aspects like that, definitely pick up A Wish for Us, as I gave it a 4.5 stars. Okay, let's move on to February. So I did not have any 5-star reads in January, but I did come close with A Wish for Us. In February, I read An Academic Affair, which was chef's kiss if you like academia, if you like rivalry, if you like banter. It was just so good. I picked up my copy at the library, but I'll throw up what that looks like here. It was just so refreshing. It's by Jodi McAllister, and it was my first book by her, and I give it 5 stars, and that was my only 5 stars for the month of February. It was just excellent. I have no negative reviews to An Academic Affair, and I believe there's a second part to it coming out soon, and I'm so excited for it. But if you haven't read An Academic Affair, you must pick it up before the second one comes out. The second book that I read in February, I read on my Kindle. It's Lights Out, just because I have been hearing so much about it on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and I was like, okay, let's pick it up. I was disappointed. It just wasn't a story for me. The dynamic between Josh and the FMC, I just wasn't really into it. I feel like it was quick love for me. Josh was hilarious, and he had a great sense of humor, and I love that aspect of it, but I did end up DNFing Lights Out with 20 pages left. I did skim to the very end though to see how it ended. So that was my first DNF in a long time. The third book that I read in February is Not Another Love Song, and that's by Julie Soto, and that was my first book by Julie Soto, and I had been hearing really good things about her other novels, so I'm thinking about giving her another chance. Just that particular storyline of Not Another Love Songs, not for me. I still give it 3 stars because I would recommend it to somebody else that enjoys kind of the trope of, again, being in an organized orchestra, but also being a rock star. It had some really fun elements in it which were very refreshing, but as far as the love story between the FMC and the MMC, I really didn't enjoy. It felt like there wasn't enough build up for me, and it felt very much like instant love. And for me, instant love is just kind of an ick, but I still gave it 3 stars. The next book after that was one of my favorites next to An Academic Affair for the month of February, which is Atmosphere. I give Atmosphere 4.5 stars, and that was my first book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I'm so excited to pick up some of her other books. But I'm also scared because when I read Atmosphere, I could not put it down. It was like I neglected all of my adulting just to complete that book. And I read that on my Kindle, but I really want to get the physical copy so that I can put it on my shelf. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was a very close 5-star read for me, but there were parts of it that to me felt really slow, and I really struggled with the main character's sister. She was just a huge trigger for me. So I think that also had a lot to do with the 4.5 stars that I gave it. But it's an excellent book. It's historical fiction, and it's very introspective, and the author just does such a wonderful job of getting you to think about things deeper and bigger than yourself. So if you haven't read Atmosphere already, please pick it up. The next book that I read after that is Twisted Hate, and I also read Twisted Love in that same month of February because my friend said that I had to read the Twisted series because she knew that I had already read the Kings of Sin. She's like, oh, have you read the Twisted series? And I'm like, oh no. So I read it, but I will say I think that King of Sin's series is way better than the Twisted series, but that's just my humble opinion. So I read Twisted Hate. I was not a fan of the MMC. I really liked the FMC because she was a strong woman character, and she was intelligent, and she was always underestimated. So I did love the MMC, but the overall storyline of the love story, it was just not for me. I think my favorite part of the book Twisted Hate is that Christian Harper does a little bit of a cameo. That was my favorite part of the book because I absolutely love Christian. And then I gave that 3 stars because I would recommend it to other people because I feel like other people would enjoy Twisted Hate. Just for me, it just wasn't my vibe. Twisted Love, on the other hand, I gave Twisted Love 4 stars. I read them back to back, and I did like Twisted Love more than Twisted Hate. Alex and Ava's story I did really like. I feel like they had a really good dynamic and they balanced each other out, and just the way that Alex would do anything for Ava was just really nice. And I liked seeing the sibling relationship between Josh and Ava, and I actually preferred seeing him in a brotherly role than in a romantic role with Jules. So do with that what you want. So yeah, so I had a really good February reading month. Then for the month of March, and I forgot to show y'all Twisted Hate and Twisted Love, but I do have Twisted Hate. You know, it's a really cool cover. And I also have Twisted Love. And then in March, I went ahead and said, hey, I gotta finish the series, so let me go ahead and pick up Twisted Lies, and I'm so glad that I did. Oh, sorry guys, I need a little bit of caffeine. Twisted Lies was so good. I think that's by far my favorite Twisted book because, oh my goodness, Christian Harper, the man that you are. Yes. Christian Harper, you're the top, almost top. Zayden's still the top, but you're like second or third place. Twisted Lies, if you have not read it, even if you don't read any of the other books in the Twisted series, you must read Twisted Lies because Christian Harper is your I will literally burn the world down for you and not care. He is that kind of man, and just the fact for me that he's so composed and put together, kind of like, think of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's handsome, he looks young, and everybody underestimates him, but then when somebody crosses him, they immediately regret it. So Twisted Lies, for me, 5 stars right out of the gate. So I started off my birthday month, which is March, without a cinch. It was 5 stars, and I actually thinking about rereading it because it was just that good. So that's this beautiful guy here. So I gave that 5 stars. Let me organize my books because they're about to fall over. Then after that, I read a book from Book of the Month. If you don't already have a Book of the Month subscription, it's really cool. You get credits on Book of the Month, and you get to choose which book you want to read, and you select it, and then they ship it to you and all the things. And if for whatever reason the book is not for you, you can return it and they'll send you another one. So I think that's just a really cool way of kind of saying, hey, you can trust us, put your faith in us. And I've discovered a few new authors through Book of the Month, so that's really cool. But for the month of March, since it was my birthday, I decided to get a Book of the Month book, my second Book of the Month from them, and Love is an Algorithm. It's definitely more of a lit fic. It's more character driven than plot driven, but it was so good. It was like, you know, very good pacing. There was never any slow or dull moments. I gave Love is an Algorithm 4 stars. If you want a book, a romance book about AI and how it can be put towards relationships, and if that would either benefit relationships or make relationships worse, it really dives into the world of AI, which I thought was really interesting. And the character, the FMC, is so funny. I just kept laughing the whole time, just the way Eve sees the world. And as you can see, they have like really cute illustrations, and I don't know, the chapters were pretty short, but it was just so fun. And I did a lot of tabbing on it just because it just cracked me up most of the time. But also it has like that yearning aspect of it too. It does have a love story in it, but I do feel like other parts of the story kind of took most of the time. But also it has like that yearning aspect of it too. It does have a love story in it, but I do feel like other parts of the story kind of took more of the front. how would I put it? The focus of the story is not just the romance. You know, it has other aspects of the story that kind of takes front and center. So Love is an Algorithm, 4 stars by Laura Robson. If you haven't picked it up and you want to try something different, definitely pick this up. And it's actually such a gorgeous cover. Look at that. Then after I picked up Love is an Algorithm, oops, sorry, I kicked you. Love is an Algorithm, I picked up Haley Pham's Just Friends. And I had just discovered her channel, like I think a month or two before her book came out, and I was just so engrossed with her writing process and everything that I genuinely just wanted to support her and her book. So I picked up Just Friends, and I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't a big wow factor for me, but I did enjoy the story. It was very sweet, and it gave excellent spring vibes coming into summer vibes. So if you haven't already picked up Just Friends, maybe for you it'll be a 5 stars. So go ahead and give that a read. For me, it was just okay. It was nothing that's gonna stick with me forever and ever. Then after I finished Just Friends, I was like, hey, let's go ahead and continue the Twisted series, and I picked up Twisted Games. For me, Twisted Games was just kind of like Twisted Hate. I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't invested in the 2 characters, and it had a bodyguard trope that just wasn't for me. I feel like I kind of outgrew bodyguard tropes when I was younger in my teens, so now I try to kind of stay away from the bodyguard tropes. So I gave it 3 stars because it was good, it was well written. Of course, Anna Huang can do no wrong, so 3 stars for me. And then the last book that I read in March is really, you know, I started the month off big with 5-star read, and then I ended the month with another 5-star read. I read In Her Own League by, of course, Liz Tom 40. Throw that here. And I read it on my Kindle just because as soon as it came out, I cannot wait. I couldn't even wait to get to the store and buy it, so I had to just quickly download it on my Kindle, and it was just fantastic. 5-star reads for me. It had the spice, it had the sweetness, it just had everything that you want in a book. So In Her Own League, 5-star read for me. So I was lucky enough to have 2 5-star reads in the month of March. But in the beginning, and I think the reason why I was so upset is because my expectations for this book were like up here. And the expectations that I had for this book were cozy fall vibes. Like, I don't know why I was looking for cozy fall vibes in April. I kind of seem to be all over the place when it comes to my moods and my vibes, because right now it's summer and I'm having Halloween vibes, so that just tells you everything you know about me. There are no rules. I just go with what feels right. So in April, I was looking for fall vibes, and I picked up It's Different this time because the cover was just so pretty. It had a beautiful black stone, and then it had all the fall colors and just all the things, right? It wasn't sweet and cozy. It did have all the fall vibes, but I was fooled. I was completely fooled. It upset me. It was gut-wrenching, and I was just so confused as to how somebody that loves someone, as she said she did, and I think her name was June, someone that loves someone could do that to them, to Adam. And Adam, to me, was just a saint, and he was so sweet and adorable, and he didn't even hold any grudges, and he didn't hate her, and I thought that was just so beautiful of him to do that. So it made me angry, but mind you, it was still a good book. So I still gave it 4 stars, but I went in all wrong. And that was my fault. I shouldn't have gone in with such expectations. So that was the first book of April. I struggled through it. I had a lot of feelings for that book. Finally, when I was able to kind of get through that book, and there's a YouTube video specifically for that book, so if you want to see how out of it I was with that book, I will link that video in the comments below, or in the description below, so you can see just how it got at me. The second book that I read in April is a genre that I don't normally read. It was science fiction, and it was the first book of the Red Rising series, and I do have that physical copy here. Here it is, and this book was just from the first page, literally the first page, when you jump in, you're transported into this world, and it just sucks you in such a fantastic way that you cannot put it down. And even on occasion, you have to put it down because you want to process everything that you're reading. So normally I read between 3 and 4 books a month, but in this particular month with this book, it was just so beautifully written and just literally you felt like you were reading a work of art, that you wanted to take it slow and you wanted to just enjoy it. Let's see if I can get a good line here. And I also have a video dedicated just to this book because it was just so well written. Pierce Brown, you did your thing with these books because they were just amazing. It was a 5-star read for me. And I did start Golden Sun, but a few pages in, a few chapters in, it really upset me as well, and I had to put it down just for my mental health. But I am going to pick up Golden Sun again, hopefully next month maybe, because month of July, I already have a ton of books that I want to read. So if you haven't already picked up Red Rising, you will love it, you won't regret it, and it will definitely take you for a ride. So that was my 5-star read for the month of April. I read 2 books in April, so not the best reading month for me, but it was quality versus quantity that month. All right, now we're down to May. In May, so I read Red Rising, and I read It's Different This Time, right? And then I go into May thinking, okay, let me pick up a little summer read. Let me get away from sci-fi. Let me get away from fall vibes. So I picked up Booked for the Summer by Catherine Freeman. It started off okay, interesting. It started off nice. And then every single time that the MMC spoke, I got the ick. Like, just the dialogue that the MMC had, I just could not continue on with that book. I had to DNF that book. But I still forwarded through the pages because I needed to see how it ended, because I'm that toxic reader that even if I'm going to DNF it, I still need to see the ending. So I give it 2 stars. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but it did have a little bit of summer vibes. But yeah, let's move on. Let's not waste time on that book anymore. So that was Booked for the Summer. Wasn't for me. I'll throw it up here. I read it on my Kindle. I don't recommend it. The next one, on the other hand, is Daddy Issues, and it's by Kate Goldbeck. And that book there, thank you Jesus that I got that book right after Booked for the Summer, because it literally saved me. Daddy Issues, here she is in her red glory. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look. It was so good. My birthday, I went to Barnes & Noble, and I wanted to give a different kind of book a chance. So I picked up Daddy Issues by Kate Goldbeck. And to my surprise, it was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a quick, steamy novella, but to my surprise, it was a lot deeper than that, and it had way more layers, and it was very surprising, and it's really hard to surprise me. So it follows Sam Pulaski. She's in a bit of a rut in her life, and it's during the time, it kind of shows a little bit of COVID and what happened to a lot of the people during COVID when it came to their careers and their dreams and everything, and kind of how they went into a little bit of a depression. So it follows her, and then she meets Nick, which is her neighbor, and there's an age gap. He's a single dad, and it just had all the things. It had humor, it had banter, it had parenting themes in it, which as a parent myself, I really, really loved. So this ended up being a 4-star read for me. I was not expecting it. I really, really enjoyed the writing. I thought it was very unique and refreshing. So it was definitely a 4-star read for me. If you haven't already read Daddy Issues, do pick it up. It was definitely a standout read for me as far as being a different type of book. Then after Daddy Issues, I also picked up And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. As mentioned previously in this video, I had really been enjoying B.K. Borison. I had read the first book of this series, which was first-time caller, and I thought it was such a fun book, and I just love seeing the dynamic, and it really gave me like rom-com vibes. So I saw And Now Back to You, and the cover is just so lovely. I was on the fence about it, but another fellow reader was like, hey, I read it, it's good, you won't regret it. So of course I had to take her advice, even though I had never met her before, because the thing about us readers is we will not lie to you. If we read a book and it's really, really good, we're going to tell you that it's really, really good, whether you ask us or not. So I took her advice and I read it, and I'm so glad that I did, because it was so, so, so nice. And it was very different than Daddy Issues, but it was so, so good as well. It was funny, it was fun, it was heartwarming, and it has Delilah and Jackson, and they're both meteorologists, and it had science aspects to it, and it was so, so good. I also gave it 4 stars. It was a very close 4.5 stars, but it ended up just being 4 stars. So if you are looking for another B.K. Borson book and you haven't read this one, please pick it up. My stack is getting so tall. Okay, now the last book that I read in May was a disappointment. I know. And it's one of my favorite authors, Anna Huang, and it's King of Gluttony. I know. From the King of Sin series. I know I said it was better than the Twisted series, but hear me out. It was still good. I hold Anna Huang's book to such a high regard that when it's just an okay, decent book, I'm like, no. She can do better. She can do better. So King of Gluttony, for me, I gave it 3 stars. It felt very slow to me. It was a bit boring. I almost DNF'd it, but I pushed through for my girl Anna, because Anna Huang she knows what she's doing. So I pushed through for you, Anna, and I finished it, and I liked it, but I did not love it. So that was 3 stars for me. King of Gluttony, I'll throw that up here because I do not have the physical copy. I know I'll have to get it at some point to complete the series on my shelf, but for now it was there. So 3-star series, my disappointment of May. Let's move on to June. I picked up Picking Daisies on Sundays, and it was a 5-star read for me. It was unexpected. I had seen the recommendation through another fellow content creator, and I'll link her channel down in the description, because her content is just so cozy and it gives 90s vibes. But I saw that she mentioned this book, Picking Daisies on Sundays, and I was like, oh, that looks really interesting. Excuse me. And I picked it up. I got it on my Kindle, and you'll see here how lovely the cover is. And it was just the perfect, cozy, funny. It does give rom-com vibes, and I love a good rom-com. And the author is Liana Sinkati, and I'm definitely going to have to pick up more books by her, because I feel like she could be a potential new favorite author, because it was written so perfectly. It was well paced. The characters were very well developed. There was yearning, but not to the point of being frustrating. The character, Daniela, aka Daisy, Donnie. I think they called her Donnie. I don't remember. It's been a little minute. Let me see. Let me open my book review journal. But yeah, the character was so relatable and fun. She was so funny, and she had so many insecurities. And so her name is Daniela, but he would call her Daisy. So the MMC is Levi, which my son's middle name is Levi. So I was already kind of biased from the beginning, right? But yeah, so the dynamic between Daisy and Levi was so sweet and so fun. And just all the things that would happen to Daisy would kind of break your heart a little bit every time you would hear about it. And just the way her inner dialogue, just you could resonate with it, because we have so many things that we think about on a daily as a woman, as far as like our insecurities. And oftentimes we let those insecurities get the best of us. And when other people, I wish we could see ourselves through other people's eyes, because that's kind of what the story is about. Picking Daisies on Sundays is that when she started believing in herself, and when Levi would tell her what he saw and what he wished she would see, It makes me a little bit emotional, but when she would hear those words, she wouldn't believe them. And then he told her, "Why don't you believe the words that I'm telling you? This is who you are. Why are you so mean to yourself?" So it was such a sweet story. It was an instant 5 stars for me, and I was so lucky that I was able to start the month of June with such a great book. But as you know, when you have such a great book, the books that follow have big shoes to fill, right? So after Picking Daisies on Sundays by Liana Sincati, I picked up Every Summer After. Hear me out. It was a reread because I had read it, I think about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, and I knew that the show on Prime Video was going to come out. So I was like, okay, let me do a little refresh. And I remember the first time that I read it, I think I gave it 3 stars. Then after the reread, it was an automatic 4 stars for me. It was very close, 4.5 stars, but I really enjoyed it more the second time around. So this is your sign to, on occasion, reread your books, because wherever you are in life, you'll get different things from those books. And I do have the hard copy here of that book. I don't have the original cover, which is great. I don't know about y'all, but I hate when they change the covers to the actors, or no offense to the actors, but I don't want to see your face on my books. I want to see the original covers. But yeah, so the 4 star read for me. I just love Percy and Sam's story. I could identify a bit more with Percy this time around, knowing that the things that she did were for a reason, and she didn't want to hurt Sam. But if you haven't read it, I can't tell you more than that. So this was my 4 star read after my 5 star read, which was Picking Daisies on Sundays. And then I picked up The Summer Will Be Different, because after that I had to read another Carly Fortune book, because why not? Carly wrote such a great book, Every Summer After. I picked up The Summer Will Be Different. I borrowed that one from the library, but I'll throw that up here because I don't have the physical copy. And it was a 3 star read for me. It was nothing special to me. I didn't love the MMC and the FMC's relationship. The obstacle that they had between each other, to me, was a little flat. I feel like it wasn't really enough to not be able to be together for 5 years. So didn't really love it. But moving on, after that, it was another release for me by Ashley Poston, which is another one of my favorite authors. I've read The 5-Year Slip, The 7-Year Slip, and then I also read The Deadly Romantics, and those books were just so good. So of course I had to pick up her new release, The Someday Garden, and it was just magical. It was a beautifully written book that transports you to a beautiful garden, Lilymoor in Maine, and it was a great book to escape with. I gave it 4 stars. It was a close 4.5 stars for me, but I feel like the end was a bit quick for me, and to be honest, a little tiny bit confusing, so I may have to reread that at some point. But The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston, I really enjoyed it. But I will suggest you have like your phone next to you, so you could look up some flowers and some plants so you can get a better imagery, because while I was reading it, I really struggled to kind of create that imagery of flowers because I'm not versed in the world of gardening. But that was a 4 star read for me. Then last but not least, for the month of June, I read a random pickup from my local free library, which is Annie Knows Everything. It's a techie type romance, and it was really funny, but I did find that it was just not for me. I wasn't a fan of the setting, which was corporate America. I feel like if I'm going to be reading something, I really don't want it to be placed in corporate America. So I give it 3 stars because I would recommend it to other people that like this type of genre. We won't waste more time on that. So those were all the books that I've read so far in the year of 2026. And I'm super proud of myself for reading this many books. And I've read a lot of good ones, and I've read a lot of bad ones. And that's really what reading is about, right? It's about reading all the things that you want to read and being surprised by the books that you didn't think were going to surprise you. So let me know all the books that you guys have read for the year of 2026. Which ones stood out to you guys? Which ones didn't? And then we'll see what the next 6 months hold. Thank you guys for watching the video if you've stuck around this long. And we'll see what the next month brings. So you have an awesome one. If you don't already, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you can see more of my content. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.